Hello friends, Gothic friends, how are you? This is Alice and this is the last video of the year. A little bit unusual. I'm here outside my house. As you can see, it's very bright, so I can just stop making faces. And this is the outside of my house, a place that you have seen before in many videos, short videos, where I've shown you around, and you're gonna probably think, I'm gonna show you around like this. You're probably gonna think, well, this is not very Gothic, Alice, because it's very bright, it's very luminous, it's sunny out there. But yes, we're gonna see as we go around the house. I'm gonna tell you all about the Gothic aspects of our everyday lives and where do we actually get inspiration, creators, what we can get inspiration from. We're gonna connect all that with Jung, with the Gothic and everything that I've been talking about for the last 3 years in this channel. I would like to start by saying, as I'm going around the house, that nature is a very important part of the Gothic, and we have the eco-Gothic, in fact, which is based on that nature that that goes wild, like what you can see behind me. It goes wild after the human touch has been removing, pulling out the roots and everything. Nature is, we always go back to it. You used to say that we tend to go back to nature. The moment that we lose contact from nature, we start losing ourselves. We forget who we are, and we start going into neurosis, and we might be getting depressed. And why do we get so many people nowadays telling us about go to nature, breathe when you're stressed, depressed, and even just as for your everyday walks as well. It's therapeutical, it's connect with yourself as well. I'm going to be taking you around my house, which is very untidy, and for various reasons. One of the reasons being is because my husband is ill. He had an ictus in 2018, just before we celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary. It was quite traumatic, and that created a series of events that up to this day make us live in a very Gothic space, precisely because you're aware that life and death is something that is a pack. We can't delete it, we can't erase it, we need to learn to live with it. And that's it. It's a topic, it's a subject that appears a lot in the Gothic. It's a very good space. It's the best space where we can talk and we can deal with this. We can, if you think about it, Gothic literature started in the 18th century, but the feeling of these existential crises and the feeling of why am I here and what is my purpose, that's always been there since the origin of time, since men told stories around the campfire. Men and women, obviously, humankind. And these stories started creating, it was an expression of the images and the monsters that were in the head, but also outside. That's why in the 18th century, the monster starts being that old monster that we all know, like a Dracula or a Frankenstein, the monster, the creature. But then, from that moment on, actually the monster became something more psychological. Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, that was a psychological monster. That from that point, it's actually a book that Jungian psychology used a lot for explaining this polarity and to explain how repressing part of ourselves can be so detrimental. As what happens, it comes out anyway, but in a stronger form. And as I'm walking around, I'm going to be, because I'm not carrying a plan to tell you all about this year, how has it been and everything. I'm going to be stopping at different parts and keep elaborating this wrapping up of the year with my thoughts, Gothic-Jungian thoughts. What we have behind here is a cage that I used for animals, for pets. So we used to have guinea pigs, rabbits, and agaponis or lovebirds. And we use that because we used to have, in the summer, we used to have, not campsite, no, we used to do workshops, and we used to do learning from this space because it's fantastic. We used to have a swimming pool, and the kids used to come to learn English in nature and in the open space in the summer. And we had animals for them to see, and then for us to have during the year, thinking that creating for them this fantastic big space was going to be liberating, which in fact it was all the opposite. It became a place of death because we didn't know that rats could get in. We didn't know that little snakes could get in. I mean, not poisonous, but enough to bite a little pet and kill it. And they were exposed to nature, to the elements. They were exposed to the heat. They were exposed to the freezing cold days that we get as well. So yeah, it's not always sunny in Spain, as you may think. And we created, we covered size, we protected it, but even then they were exposed. I mean, like we all are exposed in life to things. We're exposed to the bad weather, we're exposed to people, we're exposed to even to ourselves, internally. I love this place because of all the animals, all the birdies that we have around. So yeah, this place became a place of death, this cage. And a lot of times from this window here, I tend to do my ironing, and then I can see my cage and I can't see it empty now. And it really removes things inside. And I've been very tempted to take it out, take it apart many times. But then this year we found a purpose for it, and we found that it could be like a retirement place or a recovery place for birds who have fallen off from nests. And I'll tell you that little story in a moment as we go around. So I'm telling you this because everything that, in this case, the cage started like a live place, a living place lively with beings. It also became terrible because a lot of my pets died there. Rabbits are very delicate things, and in the summer they got bitten by mosquitoes, and they got ill every time, and it was despairing. It was the suffering, and the kids seeing that, it was horrible. Behind me there's a mural that we got done and drawn by a local artist for the summer camps as well. And that was very good. We used to play activities with water around here. There were different pockets of kids around the house. And yeah, bringing people at home was a little bit strange sometimes, but it was also, we could separate it. Although sometimes the energies could have been a little bit not the right ones for us. And that was, again, life has got these lights and shadows. Like I'm here in the light, but there's also a bit of a shadow. We are in this very colorful place, garden, and then the person walking through it is full of things that belong more to the Gothic space because of trauma, because of stress, because of problems, daily problems. And yes, we had this language school that we had to close precisely because we couldn't handle it. The pandemic hit, my husband got ill, but before that there were moments where we didn't know how to put limits, and not knowing how to put limits make people take you for granted. And there was also competition in town. The market changes as well, and we found very difficult to continue being efficient and giving the best of ourselves when a lot of the things around us were so toxic and they were so not appropriate for people like us, people who really care for the client, and people who really listen to every demand and to every single thing. And that's not good. That's, my analyst says that we need to learn to put limits, and that's something that my coach also says, which, by the way, I'm really glad that this year, one of the great things about this year is precisely having been working with my coach and my sister. She's always been there. The family support has been amazing for many reasons, in many ways, otherwise we would have not made it. And also my analyst, my most recent person in the group in my life. My analyst, she's wonderful. She's a Jungian analyst. She studied in Zurich, and that is fantastic because she's the perfect person for me, also because of the bilingualism, also because of the mindset, being someone from the same country as me but having lived abroad. That's the kind of person that really gets you, and so she's very helpful in many ways. And And here we're getting out to the side, the part of the house I wanted to tell you about. I've got my neighbors now making a lot of a racket. I do apologize. This is a normal video when you're outside. This is my lemon tree full of lemons. I'll come back to it in a minute. But what I want to show you is the nest that I have at the top there. That is my bird nest. My sparrows, no, my swallows. They come every year. Every year when they come, I write down the first day they arrive, and then I write down the last day when they leave. And I think it's wonderful. I mean, they sit on these posts here, and I can see them from, that's my office window from outside. So I can see the birds landing on this post in there, and I can see them sitting there, and it's wonderful. The problem has been that this year there's been a bit of a disaster in the nest. That it was pested with some kind of flea that they get, and it took the swallows to the parents to breed. It took them quite a long time, and it was difficult. It was very late, and then when they managed, the babies died. And until I realized that the nest was infested, and the thing is that they disappeared from the nest, and I think that was because my neighbor's cat, which is lovely by the way, but it's a cat, he probably, when they landed, he probably took them and killed them. And obviously I could hear the screams of the parents sometimes. Well, there are so many birds that sometimes you don't quite know which is which, and maybe if it's a fight between them. So the thing is that when we realized that the last sparrow was on the floor, I tried to save it, because I felt like I'm here, I'm at the doorstep, I can see them every day, I'm going to do something about it. So we tried to keep it outside on the post and not in the nest, and then realized what was happening in the nest. And then I realized that this swallow kept jumping out. And I didn't know how to clean that nest, because I was also looking in internet. I realized that it could be dangerous, it could kill them, and then eventually I found out the way, and I managed to disinfect it. But in the meantime, I had to look after this, not sparrow, the swallow. So we managed to, during the day, to get it sat on a post, and then I was trying to make it sleep at night on its own nest, but it wasn't happening. And then one night it fell, well, one afternoon he fell, and the cat caught him. I don't know if it was a boy or girl. I keep calling him him, but it should be him, but it should be an it. It doesn't matter, a birdie. And the cat took it to his house, which is opposite us, and my eldest son managed to get the bird and the cat. But I'm telling you, this is like a horror story. In nature, in everyday life, a horror story with animals, with pets and wildlife. And we managed to save him, and from that moment on I decided, okay, he's gonna come home where we also have cats, but in the office where the cats cannot get to. It's not the first time that we save a bird. We've saved sparrows before, and I decided to look after it using my cat's cage to go to the vet as the pet, the home. We were feeding it. I was like Radcliffe, is it called? Renfield, not Radcliffe, Renfield in Dracula, trying to find insects around the house, around here, to feed it. And eventually we managed to have this dynamic for a few days. It was like for a week until he could fly, because that was the other thing. If he couldn't fly, then the cat was going to eat it. So eventually what we did was we decided that the cage would be a good place while we were not at home during the day. And I do apologize for the neighbors. And then just a moment, I'll pause it. Okay, so eventually we realized that we could use that cage outside to make sure that he was still in contact with the parents, and the parents could still feed it without it being at risk of being eaten by the cat. So we closed the cage, and the cat could see it, but it couldn't get to it. And that was very clever, and it was very good, because we put a stick through the net and the mesh of the cage, and then we sat it on the corner and the parents could come and feed it, and that was great. And I could see the movement that the swallows had, and I could see how they kind of, it even seemed that they were talking to me. I'm stopping here because here we have my olive tree. I mean, I have a cherry tree, a tangerine, and a lemon tree that you've seen. And this is the olive tree that we've chopped a little bit this year. It was massive before. We made lots of olives. Well, we gave them to someone who knew how to make proper olives, and there were loads of them, and they were gorgeous. I mean, I don't like them, but my sister said they were beautiful. And this is a very interesting tree as well, because a lot of our pets, well, all of our pets are buried underneath or around the tree, and it's been very traumatic. But at the same time, we know that they are here near us, so maybe it becomes like the pet cemetery, and one day they just become zombies and come out. You never know. So I do apologize for all the mess, but as I said before, the fact that the house is unfinished outside, there's a lot of things to do, but it's because of circumstances. My husband is not capable of doing any physical work like he used to. I mean, it's heart problem. He had to stop working, and it's quite an experience. He had his ictus in 2018, as I said before, and I think I did say it before. And anyway, it's been all an adventure and adaptation of the new circumstances, and together with the professional change and transformation and the kids and everything, it's kind of difficult. One of the synchronicities that I found very interesting during the time this swallow was being looked after was that it was the same time where a friend, an ex-colleague of mine died. She died of cancer, leaving 2 kids behind. She probably was 4 or 5 years older than me, no more. And that, again, every death makes you think a lot about your own existence, about your own life. Again, this is a very Gothic aspect, because we tend to avoid death, we tend to avoid thinking about it, but it's unavoidable. It's an evergreen theme. It's like life, life, death, depression, existentialism. There are archetypes that we all share, and there are events that we all share, and we can avoid them. So maybe making them more natural, normalizing them, would be better than just suppressing it or ignoring it or making it go away quickly, because it's in your head, it's in your heart, it's in who you are. How can you forget someone you were with for even if it was just a short period of time? People, we leave an imprint and an impact on other people. So when this person died, that day that we were going to go to, not the funeral, but we did like a wake here in Spain. People, the bodies are like exposed, if you want, displayed. It sounds horrible, but they're displayed for the family and friends to say goodbyes, and the last goodbyes, and then the day after they take into the cemetery. So we did just the wake, and that same day, because it was in July, the kids were on holiday, we made the most of that day to do some shopping. And in that specific shopping center we went to, that is not far from us, we met the person who this other girl had taken over the job from. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, this is a synchronicity. Yeah, talking about the Jungian aspects of things. This is a synchronicity. It must be. This is this other girl saying, look, make the most of your relationships. I'm kind of here somehow. And I'm going to just do a little bit of stop here next to my garage. And it was that kind of synchronicity, as I said. And I told her, I said, look, it's just, amazing that I've never seen you before, and I see you precisely today when we're going to this wake for the girl who took over your job, your position. And she was like, oh my God. And she's also a writer. She translates books and everything. And I thought, what is the message here? What are you trying to tell us? It made me think for a while. And then we came back home, and the day after, we freed the swallow. And it was like that same day, this ex-colleague, she was being buried. So for me, it was like, this is life, you know, this is life. And maybe she was like this little swallow that she was, you know, she was in this cage. She was jailed. She was a prisoner of her own body that had become ill. Maybe because due to stress, she used to say, I think that business was the cause of my cancer. She said that to me and to my other colleague once. I'm sure this business made me ill. And she said that laughing, and ever since she said that, that's been going around in my head. How many times doctors have said we could avoid, or our cancers, our illnesses come a lot of the times due to, produced because of the situations we are in. Our cells change their composition because of stress, and stress caused by external factors, external other people, the energies of other people. There's so much now that we know that we didn't know then, like 10-15 years ago, about, you know, neuroscience tells us all about this, but how our brain reacts to smells, sounds, even pheromones and things that are in the air. You know, we're full of, it's all chemical, you know, it's all chemistry, it's all atoms and electrons and little everything that I can't tell you about because I'm not a scientist, but you know what, you're getting what I'm trying to say. So, as I said, connecting these death of these little, well, the little lives on my nest, and then saving one that almost got eaten by the cat, and this running around after it, and then this funeral. And you think, right, this is what it is, isn't it? This is what I talk about. This is where I come to when I'm a bit depressed or I'm a bit down. I come to this space, I come outside here, my house, and I think and I reflect on all these thoughts, and I recharge my batteries out here in nature, because we are part of nature. We've just forgotten that we are part of nature. We need to get in contact with ourselves again. And a very good way of doing that is through Gothic literature, because it's an entertainment. Gothic literature, Gothic series, horror even, films. This year I've been working on Supernatural, and that was a great excuse to watch it for the third time, but it was for an essay, it was for an assignment that I hope will soon come in a book. It was about women in Supernatural, and analyzing the archetype, the Grey Mother archetype that, you know, I'm quite fan of, because there's so much information about myself in this archetype, but not just about myself, but about a lot of people around me, about you as well. And, you know, looking into these made me realize so many things as well. And we are in the Jungian Gothic space, or Gothic-Jungian space, whichever way you want it. A space where, you know, this webinar that I created, that was live yesterday, was precisely this, to explore the depths, to explore everything inside of our psyche, and how all the connections between Gothic literature and Jungian psychology are such a good tandem, because of one explains the other, one expresses the other. All the symbols, all the images that we have inside of us, that Jung used to say, and all the images that are inside of our heads, and then we put words into all these symbols, and they come in artistic representation, they come out in poem form, in written form, but also on paintings, on music. You know, as human beings, we are creators, and we need these as well, and we tend to forget that we need these things as well. So this is what we're going to be doing next year. We're going to be exploring the Gothic Psyche in a 7-month course that is already prepared for you. It starts on the 13th of January. I'm going to leave you all the details here in the video. And I invite you to come and to explore with me the depths of our minds through different archetypes from Gothic literature. We're going to discover loads. I mean, there's so much, it's so rich, and nobody's doing it. So you're going to be one of the first people accessing it if you get to see this video. soon enough. After the 13th, the prices will go up, so make your mind up quickly. Otherwise you won't miss out on the course, because it's going to be there for as long as there's demand, but you're going to miss out on the discount. And we're going to be stopping around about here, because it's more or less the same amount of length of time as my Spanish video, and next to my lemon tree. So if life gives you lemons, I don't make lemonade because I'm not very good at it, but my husband makes fantastic lemon curd. Lovely lemon curd. We eat it with toast, we share it with people, because look how many lemons. So going back to home, I'm gonna go back to my Gothic doings and see how my family is doing inside. If they need anything, it's about lunchtime now for me. And I'm saying goodbye to you for this year. I hope to see you next year. Thank you all for your attention, for interacting with me, to all my audience for being there, my clients for trusting me, and all of you for being with me all this year, my coaches, everybody. So happy new year. See you all next time, and hopefully it will be the first Saturday of the month of January, which I don't know what day it is. I know, because that would be Epiphany for us, so we'll see. Don't worry, you'll see something. So hope to see you very soon. I forgot to tell you about the story about my pine tree. Maybe another day, full of birds that I feed. These are on the wild. I've learned after the cage that being in the wilderness is a lot better than being encaged. So happy new year. See you all again very soon. Keep being very Gothic, my friends. Love you all, and take care. Bye.